Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what's so proud?
Breaking news: an American suburb shattered by deadly shootings this Sunday near Kansas City.
3 people are dead after shots were fired at 2.
Police say a man opened fire in the parking lot.
Here's what we know about
3 people were killed with shotguns.
There's no rhyme or reason to it.
Around 7:15, police responded to Austin's Bar and Grill on reports of shots being fired. Tin asked them if their, quote, status was legal. He also describes how shortly after, he heard people saying, quote, he's back and he has a gun.
He did not deserve a death like this. I was always concerned. Are we doing the right thing of staying in United States of America? I need an answer for everyone out there. That what is that they're going to do to stop this hate crime?
And the home of the brave.
So the morning of April 13th, Reek came bounding down the stairs, and he's not the kind of kid that bounds, he's not the kind of kid that leaps and bounds, but he was super excited. He'd been practicing for months. He was really ready for this. His plan was to sing On the Street Where You Live from My Fair Lady. And then only a few minutes later, he said, did you know that I might get to sing another song? And I said, no, I didn't know that. Why would they let you sing another song? He said, I don't know. It just said that I should be prepared in case they give me another chance to sing something else. And he said, would you like me to sing it for you? I said, of course. And he sang, you're going to miss me when I'm gone. And it was beautiful. And I listened with an open heart. And I had tears. And I can see him in the kitchen. I can't hear it anymore in my head, but I can see it. So I gave my dad a hug and said, thank you. Those are my last words to my dad, thank you. And I walked around the corner and I went to get my purse, and I was about to walk out the door, and I backed up. And Reet was on my left, and I leaned in and I kissed his right cheek. And I said, good luck, I love you. He said, I love you too, Mom. And that's what happened before I found them.
I remember texting him, saying, hey, what time are you coming home? Let's have some tea together. And I never knew that he was going to happy hour. So I went home, I saw that he did not reply me back, and I was waiting, and it was 7 or 7:30 and he's still not home. Then I was like, okay, let me just have my dinner. I don't think so he's gonna be home by then. And as my usual habit, I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw somebody sharing about that shooting.
News right now at 10 o'clock. Police hunting for a gunman after 3 people are shot at an Olathe bar. Right now, officers warning people living nearby to stay indoors. The shooting happened at Austin's Bar and Grill near 151st and Merlin.
And asked them if their, quote, status was legal.
Told the victims they needed to, quote, go back to the country they came from before opening fire.
If you hear someone say something like the shooter said that night, you don't have to be silent. In all likelihood, they may not come back with a gun, but you could be the one that turns around and says, no, that's not right, or goes and sits with the people who are being targeted and said, I'm here with you.
He was kind of just mean-mugging, staring down Serenivos, and you know, I was trying not to pay too much attention to it, not trying to feed into it. Eventually it got to a point, I had seen one of my friends, you know, standing up and, you know, saying, hey, kind of what's going on here, and then that's when I noticed, and I kind of helped intervene and say, you know, this isn't the time nor place for it here nor anywhere, and you know, it's kind of where it went to from there, and then kind of helped escort him out with the manager's assistance. When he returned, it wasn't anything anybody expected. You know, we all just kind of figured he was drunk, he was going to go home, sleep it off, and you know, it was just you know, a foolish act. But unfortunately, it didn't end there. He did come back with a firearm. I had went from trying to tackle the shooter to moving the gun out of my face, and luckily I moved it just enough. It went from my hand, and then it went in my chest here, ricocheted off my collarbone, and then ricocheted off my spine, and then traversed back up, and it's sitting in between my lung and my heart. And you know, that was, you know, really just the beginning. It's something I still feel on a daily basis, but then there's a whole nother side of things that so oftentimes gets overlooked, and it's the mental side.
What should I do? How should I call? Who should I contact? And I ended up calling Sukruta, who is my dear friend. And I was going on my rant, and like, you know, this is what I hate the most, but then they're not lifting the phone, and Reepti is like, they're not there. And then she was like, something is fishy, and then she goes into reading more about it. So Naina, it says 3 colored men, racial. And you know, right, how your heartbeat is like racing up, and then you are trying to be positive, but your brain is going in all different directions.
Chaos and panic.
I thought he was just shooting an air rifle or something. All of a sudden he shot at me.
A tragedy unfolds in Overland Park as a gunman opens fire at the Jewish Community Center and Village Shalom Assisted Living Center just blocks apart. 3 are dead tonight, including a 14-year-old high school student.
I ran to my dad's body, screaming, what happened, but to no one. I didn't see any other humans. I only saw my dad's body lying there next to the truck. And as I got close, I was about 2 to 3 feet away, and it was very apparent that he was deceased, and logically I knew I could not do anything for him. But that didn't stop me from wanting to help or wanting to lean in and touch him. But as I went to lean in to touch him or to hold him in some way, I felt a pressure against me. I felt somebody or something pushing me back. And I heard the words, and they were so loud and so clear. Your Father's in heaven. Go find Reet. And it was calming. And for whatever reason, I walked around the truck. I just felt led, and I walked around the truck, and I found Reet, and he was in the arms of 2 men. They were holding him. I didn't understand that he was lifeless. And then I heard those words again, your Father's in heaven, go find Reet, when we were at the hospital.
And then it was 10 in the night when my friend, I saw a car pulling into the driveway, and I rushed and opened the door and opened the garage thinking it might be Shrinu, but it wasn't Shrinu's car. And he walked in, and he had a sticker, the hospital sticker, and then looking at him I realized, and I said, Shrinu was there. And he nodded his head. And then I was like, is he the one who is critically injured? And I got another nod. I was like, please take me. I informed my family on my way to the hospital. I called my sister, my middle sister, and I said, they're saying Srinu is no more.
So while we were at the hospital, we were dealing with the fact that we lost my dad and lost our 14-year-old son, and we have our 12-year-old son, and then they tell us that Reet, even though he's had organ donation and planned to be an organ donor, and we were authorizing it, they originally said he can't be an organ donor. So you just can't get any lower than that.
Oh, I've said it so many times, but every time I still have a blush on my face whenever I have to still say it. So it all happened that when I graduated in 2006 May, and I was in the pursuit of coming to the United States and to seek my master's degree. And at that time in India, Orkut, which is similar to a Facebook, was very popular among the kids. So I was chatting with my best friend's brother and what's happening. So I told I've applied, I'm trying to come for the spring semester, and these are the universities that I've applied. And one of the universities I had applied for was University of Texas El Paso.
One of my best friend's sister is Sunaina's best friend. And he actually recommended my name so that I can help her with universities to come to US. And unfortunately, I don't know, but my name was on the first, and then he put two other names of my friends.
Srinu's was the first name, and that's a destiny, and that's how we met. And slowly we chatted for hours together with the time difference and everything. I used to be up in the night, sneaking away from my parents and doing all of that. And so once I got my visa, it was a huge relief for both of us. And then he was visiting India for the first time after coming here in 2005 August. And so that's when we first met in person. But by then we had feelings for each other. So it was in October 2012 that we got married. We got married back home.
What my dad helped me understand in life was to kind of go for it, was to never be afraid to fail. We talked very easily with one another. He was a great educator, so very smart and very caring and giving. So he was a physician. He cared for other people. Yeah, my dad loved life. My dad loved people, and he loved caring for people. They weren't the type of grandparents that might just feed their grandchild candy and then walk away or something like that. They bathed our kids and all of their grandkids and fed them dinner and had them over for the night and went to their activities, etc. So they were very involved.
He's one of the rarest finds. He pushed me out of my comfort zones, and he was to me as a friend more than as a husband. He was literally my 911. That's how important he was in my life, because he was the only family I had here. We were for each other.
Whenever he visited India, he made sure that all of our family members that Sunaina valued, he gave equal attention. Like, you are my family too. How much you are important to Sunaina, you're equally that valuable to me.
And then there's Reet, and he is my firstborn, so he's my firstborn son. And all that goes with it, Reet had great talent. So by the time he was 3 and 4 years old, he had Eric Carle books memorized, and he could just say them verbatim, and then he would act them out. He had a smile that lit up a room, and twinkling eyes, and dimples just like mine. But he loved people. He loved friends and meeting people. He had a lot of people that really knew who he was because he opened his heart to them. Really weeks and the year or two after, when I couldn't wear eye makeup. I had to kind of learn how to eat again. I had to force myself to exercise. I had to push myself through grief, and I questioned God. After all the things that I have done and all the things that my dad as a physician and my 14-year-old son who's completely innocent in everything, how did this happen?
The person who was literally everything for me, who was my power rock, who was my strongest critic, who cared for me so much, and to find him lifeless and to have him physically not being around me was so much to process. And so I took that decision that we will be taking him back home so that he would be given a farewell in a proper way amongst all the loved ones. So the whole funeral, the whole journey was a journey filled with burden deep inside and with the flow of all of these emotions.
And so I was very angry at God. And I'll just say again that God can handle the anger. I could yell at God, I could scream at God, I could write really bad things to God, and I wasn't going to hurt God. But here's where God showed up, because some people will say, well, where was your God? Right? Where was he? He didn't save you, he didn't save your dad, he didn't save your son. So where God was in all the people, all the humans who showed up.
One of the things that I do remember the most, frankly, is the community response. And it was just so incredible and overwhelming. At the end of the day, I was proud of Kansas City. I'm a lifelong Kansas Citian. And they showed up. That part of this I was very proud of. As a reporter who's covered race, who's covered white supremacy, it was mortifying.
We're senseless. It was a senseless hate crime. And the fact that it was a hate crime, and I'm white, and I'm Christian, I have a bigger responsibility to explain to people that hate has no place because it will touch everybody.
I came to this country, right, with so much of hopes and dreams. And America was slowly making it happen for me. I met the love of my life. We got married. We were building our house together. We were in the process of starting and having our family growing together and filled with so much more dreams. And suddenly that came down, crashing. And my instant reaction obviously was, I'm going to leave this country. And when I heard of those words, get out of my country, and that the shooter said this, I was like, I can't leave. I can't let the shooter win. And that's how my journey began, the new journey of discovering and how we can bring all of us together.
I knew that a foundation needed to happen from my experience in wealth management, and we went to the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation. So community foundations are awesome. And we started the Faith Always Wins Foundation, and we started an event, and the event was called 7 Days. The themes are love, discover, others, connect, you, go, onward. Those are the 7 days themes, and the colors and the branding, it's all very fun, and it's about kindness.
A movement has started where small acts of kindness grow into a wave of change. It's called 7 Days, with each day featuring a different mission. Day 1, love. Day 2, discover. Day 3, others. Day 4, connect. Day 5, you. Day 6, go. And day 7, onward.
So we do operate year-round, but we have a Kindness Youth Leadership Program. Our goal is for our teachings to reach high schoolers and middle schoolers so that they can make good choices at that moment in time. Maybe take it back to their home, take it into their youth groups, take it into their school, and be kindness influencers.
As I processed things and what was coming to me and what needs to be done, and one of those questions was like, what led the shooter to do? And to me it was more because of ignorance and lack of information. And my instinct was, what can be done?
Forever Welcome is that they raise funds for immigrants who come into the United States, and they work to help them feel welcome. So she has created an educational platform and a resource guide that's, you could call it diversity, equity, inclusion, but it's a very specific educational resource guide that she presents and provides. And that's something that's important to Forever Welcome, so that they do welcome immigrants, and that they not only welcome immigrants, but they help educate those of us who don't know anything about immigration.
As the famous saying goes, prevention is better than cure. We need to work on preventing ourselves from going through these meaningless acts and stop somebody from going through the pain.
The relationships gained after a tragedy like this, it's a very bittersweet thing. I would love nothing more than to have never have met Sunaina, because that would mean she still has her husband. But on the flip side of that token, I am incredibly blessed to have got to know Sunaina not just as a friend, but as a sister. And she's helped me in a lot of ways that she may never understand, nor that I could put into words. The decision to make Sunaina the godmother of my child, it was really an easy choice for what she had done for me, what she has been doing for the community, not just the Indian community, but for all people that are, wrongfully persecuted, that everybody is welcome. And to me, what better role model than somebody who has faced adversity dead center in the face and said, I will not back down.
I'm gonna change and put on my 7-day shirt. I have it.
I know,
good to have it.
I think my introduction to her was after the tragedy. Mutual contact. I was formally introduced to her through email, and I met her for the first time at Yaya's, and it started there. And at the very first meeting, she said, I am your sister for life. I will be with you, and we are in this journey together. And you have to be that. What you're going through emotions-wise, it's normal, and that's okay to have it. You can grieve the way you want to grieve, and to have that comfort in that. And I think that is what is still making me continue in this journey, though it's been really hard.
Yeah, it's never not hard.
It's never not hard.
And it's certainly helpful to have someone to walk on the journey with.
We lost different people, but we lost to the same reason of hate. And so I could look up to her in many ways of how she was handling this and how she was taking this forward and becoming this beacon of hope in carrying a mission forward. And I had that similar passion in me too. So if I have to be on this journey, this is how I have to do it, and this is my mentor for that. And that's what defines our unique bond. And it's been a wonderful journey, though it started on a painful way. It's been a wonderful journey.
I think they have a bond that no one else can really understand. They have each suffered incredible loss for reasons of hate. What's really special, though, is how each woman has grown from that.